with the order of operations, this is what you're used to. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. First parentheses, then exponents, then multiplication or division, whichever comes first, and then finally addition and subtraction, whichever comes first. That's what you're used to. However, I'm going to take you to the next level of things. Here's another visual of what you're used to. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. I'm going to take these, getting rid of them. You are past that now. It's time to move on. The next one, kind of do this one, and then this isn't the one we're ultimately going to use. This is the order. It's not just parentheses first because there are more ways to show grouping than just parentheses. Obviously, parentheses is one of the ways. You also have brackets. If you have more than one set of grouping in one problem, a lot of times you'll use brackets to distinguish between the parentheses and the brackets. You have absolute value, which you've done, and you have the fraction bar. Any kind of grouping comes first, not just parentheses. All of these will come first. And then you have your exponent. Then you have, multiplication or division, whichever comes first, left to right. And then addition and subtraction, whichever comes first, left to right. This is the visual I'm going to focus on now. I think I like this one the best for our purposes. Grouping symbols. You've got parentheses, brackets, and sometimes you'll see people use these. Just another variation on the parentheses. And then you've got the absolute value and the fraction bar. Then we've got exponents, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction. Today we will do some order of operations with the fraction bar. The next lesson we're going to have brackets. It's time to move up in the world. All right, so move this over. Start with this. Let's do number 3 together. Think of all the numbers above the fraction bar as their own group. So you're going to get rid of all the operations above the fraction bar before you do the dividing. If there were operations on the bottom, you would do all of those as well. Let's do the first one. 15 divided by 5 times 3 plus 7. So in this grouping, I have division, multiplication, and addition. So multiplication and division go in order left to right. So I'm going to do that first. 15 divided by 5 is 3. So what I have now is 3 times 3 plus 7 divided by 4. It's very important that you write all these steps. Yes, some of this you can do in your head. You're more likely to make a mistake, but also if you don't get used to writing them down, when you get past the ones that you can do in your head, you're not going to know how to do it. So let's make sure we write these down. All right, so now back to this. What operation do we do first? Well, we do multiplication. 3 times 3 is 9. There we go. So now I've got 9 plus 7 divided by 4. That's easy. It's obvious I do plus. So I'm going to do, now I've got 16 divided by 4. Now finally, I can use the division bar. That would be 4. Okay, let's move on to 7 and 8. We've got division, multiplication, addition. I don't know why I'm doing this with you. You can do this one on your own. We'll do division first. You don't usually have to use long division, I guess, when you are doing order of operations, but that is changing. Get used to it. So 15 and a half divided by 5. So I'm going to come down here 15 divide by 5. 5 goes into, well, 5 goes into 1 0 times. 5 goes into 15 3 times. 3 times 5 is 15. I'm looking up at the camera and down at my paper and up at the camera and down at my paper, and I realize that my numbers are not lined up very well. All right, let me focus down on the paper. So bring down the 5. 5 goes into 5 one time. Now, is my answer 31? No, I have this little decimal that needs to go up. There. So that gives me 3 1/10 times 0 3/10 plus 2 5/10. Right, so I will do multiplication first. Well, you know. So 3 1/10 times 0.3. 3 times 1 is 3. 3 times 3 is 9. If you look up, I have 2 digits, 2 decimals. I have 1 digit to the right of this, 1 digit to the right of that. So I need 2 digits to the right of the decimal, which puts my decimal here. So that is 0 93/100. See? Plus 2 5/10. So let me add those up. 0 and 90. Remember, with addition and subtraction, you have to line up your decimals. So 2 5/10. That'd be 3 plus 0 is 3. 9 plus 5 is 14. Bring down the decimal, 3. So the final answer, the value of number 7 is 3 43/100. Now let's do number 8 together. Multiplication and addition. Let's do multiplication first. 2.4 times 0.5. 5 times 4 is 20. 10, 11, 12. I have 2 digits to the right of the decimals. So I'm going to have 2 digits to the right. So that means I have 1.2. So that would give me 1.2. So I'm going to write it over here. I like going sideways when I can with fraction bars. So 1.2 plus 0.8 over 8 divided by 4. There we go. You know, I can do, I could have actually divided that across. I didn't think about it. I'll do that on the next one. So 1.2 plus 0.8, if you don't know what that is already, you would add it out. Remember to line up your decimals. 8 plus 2 is 10. Bring down the decimal. So it's 2. So I'm left with 1.2 plus 0.8 is 2 over 8 divided by 4 is 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. Here you go. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 left on that page. Let's go on to this one. This is, you've done quite a few of these. This one just has, I think, one more step than the last page you did like this. We'll do numbers 5 and 6 together. Back to this. So the first thing that we're going to do is inside the grouping symbol, we've got parentheses, so we're going to do everything inside the parentheses first. We've got exponent and we've got addition. So we'll do the exponent first. 2 to the 4th power is, let's see, 4 times is 16. I know that is 16. So that gives me 16 plus 24. I keep the parentheses. As long as I still have an operation left inside, I still keep the parentheses. Times 2, I'm going to use a dot, minus 80. So I will once again, work inside my parentheses. 16 plus 24, that's 20, 30, 40. That's 40. Times 2 minus 80. 40 times 2 is next. That makes 80. And then you have minus 80. That is, what do you know, zilcho. Okay, and then number 6. I have no parentheses. I come down to my exponents right here. 4 to the 4th power, oh gosh, is that 60? No. Yeah, I'm gonna have to multiply that one out. 4 times, it's 4 to the 3rd power, I think is 64. I'll do this. 4 times 4 is 16. 16 times 4, that one's 64. Now I still have 64 times 4. Let me write that out. 64 times 4 times 4 is 16. 4 times 6 is 24, plus 1 is 25. 256. All right, so now I have 100 minus 2 times 256 divided by 32. Now I've got minus, I've got subtraction, multiplication, division. Multiplication and division are together. You go left to right. Obviously, the multiplication going left to right comes before the division, so we'll do that next. 2 times 256. Back to my little scrap paper. 256 times 2. 2 times 6 is 12, 10, 11, 5. 512. So now I have 100 minus 512 divided by 32. Lovely. Obviously, I'll do division. Back to my little scrap paper. What is it again? 512 divided by 32. 512 divided by 32. 32 does not go into 5. 32 times 2 would be 64. So it must go into 51 one time. 1 times 32 is 32. Subtract. That becomes 11. That becomes 4. 11 minus 2 is 9. 1. Bring down the 2. Okay, so how many times does 3 go into? I'm just going to look at the front digits. Let me see. Look at the 3 and the 19. How many times does 3 go into 19? 6 times. Let me try this out. If this isn't the answer, it's going to be close. 32 times 6. 6 times 2 is 12. 6 times 3 is 18, plus 1 is 19. This is it. Haha. So it's 6. 32 goes into 192 6 times. You don't have to do this part if you don't want to. All right, so 16. So now I have 100 minus 16 equals, I can do that in my head, but for the sake of this video, I will do that. Got to regroup. This 0 becomes 10. Can't take from that, so I'm going to take from that 10, and it becomes 9. So 10 minus 6 is 4. 9 minus 1 is 8. And if I don't trust that I regrouped right, I can always add it back. So let's see, what's 84 plus 16? Make sure that gives me 100. 8, 9, 10. Yep, okay. So 84. Right. You go ahead and finish this And